Miss Ellie, I don't know if Kevin is on Facebook. He and I have just texted.
Yeah,
Well, no, I did message him, but,
he doesn't really use it, his phone, so.
okay, all right. So it will be there.
Okay. Excuse me a minute. Yeah, could you come up here, honey? I'm sorry I don't have a round table now. Everybody's seated around me. I love all of you. Hello, Cheryl.
But if you wanted everybody around you, why'd you sit in the corner?
Let's see right here.
I tell you what, I'll make everybody else move.
I just want to say I'm thankful to each and every single one of you for being here.
It is our honor to be here. Let's go ahead and formally start the service, please. Daniel, if you would be so kind. Thank you. All right, those of you who did not know what that is a shofar. It's typically the horn of a neck. You will see shorter horns that are made from rams, and you'll see others, but this is typically what you would see with the anak and the ram. I can't use one to save my life, just so you know, which is why I have people much more capable doing it. Just to let you know, of course, welcome to Larry's celebration of life. And obviously with the faces here, I know that there are others who would like to be here but cannot. But I know that they share in our thoughts of love and support for Miss Ellie and her family. It's relatively informal, but just to let you know what we'll be doing today. First off, do any of you here know Hebrew? You don't count? Okay, awesome. That's fantastic, because if I screw up, you won't know. You'll know, but you keep quiet. Ms. Pauline, I'll speak up a little bit more. You having a hard time hearing me? I'm trying to keep it mellow, but I guess I'll have to project more.
Enunciate your mellowness.
Besides, don't be too somber. I'm not good at it.
So we will have a little bit of a summary. Ellie was kind enough to put some details together, and it's amazing. You know someone for years, and you chat on on Shabbat, but you talk about certain things on Shabbat, and a lot of times you don't get to really know the history of an individual, unfortunately, until a moment like this. You're like, wait, you did what? That's cool. So it was really nice to kind of go through pictures with Ellie and go down memory lane a bit and learn more about these two amazing individuals. So I will share some of those pieces with you. It has been requested that we do the 23rd Psalm, which I will be doing in Hebrew and English. Rabbi, of course, will then conduct the eulogy, and then we will have a time where we will open this up to the floor. And it would be wonderful if you could share some of your favorite stories or anecdotes or memories regarding Larry and Ellie. It doesn't have to be just with Larry, just something regarding the family. If you have anything to share, we would love that. So please don't be afraid to take the opportunity to do that.
Can I say something?
Always.
All right.
Don't let me hold you back now.
And they don't even have to stand either, right? If they don't want to.
It would be best if they could stand, because it's easier for them to project.
And because so many people are going to be tuning in elsewhere, but
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
It is-
so it would be best for you to come up and use the mic. So if you have,
Do I have to?
yes, get the wine.
A big jug, please.
people are multifaceted. And we tend to engage with a person from a certain angle or perspective, from a certain relationship. Wife, employer, employee, friend, neighbor, person that hates you. We don't like that perspective, but it is a valid one. But the reality is that we know the person from our perspective. But just like if I hold up a coin and ask you what it is, and you say heads, and I go, you're an idiot, it's tails. It's because I'm looking at it differently. When we say that it would be wonderful if you could come up and talk about your relationship with Larry, because you knew a Larry that was specific to you in your relationship. You knew him differently than I knew him. You knew him differently than everyone else. Now, those differences might be subtle, and in some ways we're going to see our own interactions there, but it is said that there are 2 deaths that a person suffers from. The first is the physical death. The second is the last time their name is ever spoken aloud in the world. So, talk about Larry. Discuss him. Remember him. And I know that a lot of people don't like to get up in front of everyone. It's okay. We will wait until you're gone before we say all the horrible things we're thinking. But really get up and just share, because in hearing your relationship and your interactions, we will all benefit from seeing a Larry that we might not have been able to meet and know. And that is a benefit to all of us. So I wanted to drop this bomb early so it can kind of sink in.
Marinate.
So, all of a sudden when I go, okay, 1, 2, 3, go! You've already kind of had it marinated.
You do remember I mentioned that we're not really very formal, right? So we just got a little bit of a bird's eye view there. Once we've done Rabbi's eulogy, and of course you all sharing memories that you have, we will do a special prayer called the Mourner's Kaddish, which is something that I will go into a little bit later on, and then we will finish out with a blessing called the Birkat Kohanim. Most of you will know that as the Aaronic benediction. So it will be very familiar to you, at least as the English is concerned. And then we just have some noshing under there, and yes, that is the traditional Yiddish word for food. So we will have some things for you to nosh on then before having to take your leave. So I absolutely welcome all of you on behalf of Rabbi and I. Thank you for being here to support Miss Ellie. And let's go ahead and chat a little bit about the amazing man that we will miss. First off, I had to chuckle a little bit because you don't typically know people's middle names. So Larry's middle name was George. The rabbi's middle name is also George.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you just have these little connections. Now, your family, the kids weren't able to make it here.
No, we're not.
No. I wanted to make sure that I hadn't missed them.
My sister came in from Texas, so.
Where's the sister? Ah, wonderful. Welcome.
Sweet sister.
Now, where'd you come in from?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. And it's hotter there than it is here, right?
No, not today.
Not today?
I've been there when it has. Yes,
All right.
yes.
Well, thank you for being here to endure this terrible heat.
So one more couple, but seems like you're on the wrong way. I'm sorry, Lori.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
And Sue Smith, a longtime friend of Larry's and mine,
Ed and Sue Smith,
and they drove in from Oklahoma.
you drove in from Oklahoma?
Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious. There's extra coffee in the kitchen. Oh my goodness. Well, that's wonderful that you can make the trip again in support of Miss Ellie and to remember this amazing man. It was really great. I happened to look over there and I see, Beach Boy Larry. It's just like, wow. I did not expect to see that in the pictures. It was great.
I knew.
All right, so Larry was born and raised in Michigan on a farm. And I can only assume he was not in the barn when he was born. Although he may have been, it's a possibility. But this sort of upbringing is very close to my heart because I'm originally from Hanover, Pennsylvania, and we had a lot of farms there where you just go and you get to see all the craziness that occurs on the farms and how hard everyone works and the great fun that you would have when a harvest would come in. So I had a great respect that he was born and raised in farm life. And then here's another point of connection. He worked for like a phone company and he started installing telephones. My dad worked for the phone company and he installed phone wires and telephones and all those other things. So we have this gentleman now that he is progressing out from the farm and he is working in electronics and the telephone, and he moved to California and began working in more fields of electronics, and then later became an engineer, and he wound up moving to Tampa, Florida, of all places, from California, and then worked at his own company, lived an amazing life. And CVCI, now Ellie, I don't have it in here. What does that stand for again?
We pick a straight name. computer design concepts.
Computer design concepts. It's not strange. It's like, right on the
So
nose.
we're thinking of using the computer, to design the stuff. That's basically
Okay.
what it's supposed to
All
be.
right. Which was very futuristic at the time. So I was amazed when I was going through, again, the pictures and reading some of the things that they've done, because they have signs from New York all the way down to Miami. So you see these amazing places in airports and in the Tri-Rail down in Miami, and you're going to see some of those photos up here on the slideshow. And a lot of times you will see this lady right in the middle of it, but you really got to see the camaraderie in some of the photos as people were coming together making these signs. And it does look like Debbie was the butt of a joke every once in a while. But it sounds like they really had a family mentality there at CDCI, and they just did a fantastic job. I don't pay attention to the signs as much. You see them, but you take them for granted. You don't think of the companies that design them and maintain them. And one of the things that Ellie shared that really was so poignant to me is that they had signage at the Twin Towers. And even after the towers fell and all of that destruction, one of those signs was still operational. And you could see, because they connect down here to Tampa, and that's how they would get all the data and things like that. Well, the guys that were working there, they still got to see some of their sports scores. And they're like, no, don't take the sign down, don't get rid of it, because that's just kind of our connection to humanity in the midst of all the suffering and the chaos there in New York. So I think that's just an amazing story that your company was behind that kind of simple hope. So moving on. We got the benefit when you all moved to Ocala, when you moved up here from Tampa. In the last 8 years of his life, Larry worked as a security guard at the FedEx Distribution Center for Allied Universal. And you'll see, I believe there is a picture in here of him in his Bumblebee uniform. But in a lot of his pictures, especially in the last few years, you'll see that he had the Mobility necklace that he wore. So even in those quiet times, he was still representing our faith as Messianic believers. So we will absolutely miss him greatly. And I think that so many times, especially when you haven't been able to see someone for a while, you've only been able to talk to them, message them, talk to them on the phone. It's a little bit surreal when they're not here. And so that's kind of where I personally stuck, because it just seems like he should be here. Me personally, I'm going to take a moment and I'll do my spot here. Whenever I was around both of you, and it's still this way, even though Larry was not my dad, he was very much, he kind of became that father figure. It was almost like he just had that built into his genes. And I felt very safe and comfortable with him. He was always ready to crack a joke, but he could switch very quickly, and if you needed anything, I always knew that he would be there. If I needed help with one little thing over here, or if I needed to carry a body, I just felt that he would be here. I just felt very safe and secure around him, and I will miss that feeling, because I just felt like he always had your back. And I was always impressed with his sense of fairness and justice, not only when it came to local things and family and friends, but on the national scale when it came to Israel. It was almost like he would take certain things personally. And I appreciated that attitude from him, and will miss it. So out of respect and in request, I will do the 23rd Psalm and then turn things over to Rabbi Nora.
מזמור לדוד, השם רואה לך יחסר, בנובו דשאר בנציב, על ממלוך קרוב ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינקני וגמה לצדק למען שמו. גם כי ילך בקהל זמרך, לא ירא רקיעתך ומאדים שבטך. ומשתנת קדמה המה ינחמוני. אערוק לפני עמי, שולחן לדוד צור ריאי, ושמך לשמן ראשי כראשי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדיפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית השם לאורך ימים. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for the sake of his name. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. At this time, I'll turn things over to Rabbi Moni.
Of all of the honors that I am given, two stand out. One, I love to do weddings. There's something amazing when two lives come together, and it's supposed to be all about them, but you get to stand in the middle and take glory for yourself. The second is when we are brought together to remember and honor someone. It is never fun, but it really does encapsulate what I think we should do for each other. Volumes have been written about death, and volumes more could and will be written about it. It is one of the few absolutes in this world, and only two have ever escaped its grasp. Even Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus our Messiah, had to die and experience death in his service to us. When we lose a loved one, we are caught up in that grief and the unknown path before us. The problem is that if we truly cleave unto one another, leave our father and mother and cleave together and become one flesh, when the other half of our soul is taken from us, we're left to wonder who we are. Who am I? You know, that other mind does not part with us. The one that points out where our other sock is. This road is unfortunately a long one. And I want you to remember something. It's okay. You're grieving, you're dealing with a loss, but it's okay. Larry knew that you loved him and he loved you. Give yourself time and allow yourself to experience the various emotions you're going to. You're not running on anyone else's timetable, and no one else gets to tell you when you're over it. And as you do start to move forward, I do not want you to fall into the trap of guilt. Because one day, not today, not next week, not next month, but one day, you're going to rearrange a drawer that has his belongings. And you're going to, unfortunately, well, fortunately, that you're going to eventually move on with your life. You're going to start doing things that you didn't necessarily do together. And that's healthy. You're not dishonoring his memory if you finally clear out his underwear drawer. Larry would understand. But give yourself the benefit of the doubt, give yourself a break. When you need help, reach out and the hands will reach back for you. I would like to extend for Sarah and I, we have dealt with grief both in our lives and in general. The cycle of grief is longer than you think it is. Now you're still in shock, but now is when most people are going to be coming around and helping because it just happened. Months from now, 3 months, 6 months, a year and a half from now, you're really going to start to grieve in different ways. As you progress along, you're going to have times of grief a year from now. And to everyone else, no offense, we've all been there, well, that loss was a year ago. And everyone else has moved on, and you're going to feel like you're suffering alone, you're grieving alone. These hands will still be there for you. Okay? So just know that over the next couple of years, if you need us, all you got to do is pick up the phone and say, hey. Okay? Though we are just truly embarking on this journey together, we will take the time not only to mourn, but to honor and celebrate the life of a believer in our Mashiach, a follower of the Torah, a brother, a husband, a father, and a friend. Today, we are here to honor the memory of Larry Covey, but we're here to honor his life, not dwell on his death. This is a celebration of how Larry lived, not how he died. In preparing for today, Sarah and I have spoken about Larry's quiet yet formidable strength. I remember every now and then things happen, the world gets crazy, everybody and their brother calls up, are you still having services? Why wouldn't I be? You know it's dangerous. All right, I've been in the car with my wife while she's driving too. What are you talking about? But whenever there was something going on and people were nervous, Larry would always step forward. I remember he pulled me aside and he'd say, I got the door. I'll handle the greeting. And he would normally lock the door and he'd vet everybody as they come through. He looked very friendly. He wasn't there to be friendly. He was there to make sure that he was keeping the door. But it meant a lot. It meant a lot to all of us to see him over there. To know that he had it. He was a capable man. He was a strong man, but he was calm. He didn't fly off the handle. I never had to worry about him. I never had to worry about his cheese sliding off his cracker halfway through anything. You know, he just had that quiet strength. In fact, both of you have been a comforting presence in our lives. Have any of you ever heard of Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Did you know he wrote a book?
Yes.
I'm going to quote from that book. He said, most of us, I believe, admire strength. It's something we tend to respect in others, desire for ourselves, and wish for our children. Sometimes, though, I wonder if we confuse strength with other words like aggression and even violence. Real strength is neither male nor female, but it's quite simply one of the finest characteristics that any human being can possess. And Larry was a man who embodied this characteristic of strength. And he lent it to those around him. And his choices reflected his desire to help and encourage the people he interacted with. Larry's concerns in this world are over. He has moved on. His spirit is now with the Father, and he's experiencing things we can only imagine, speculate about. But that leaves us to pick up the pieces afterwards. So I'm going to turn to those of us that remain. As a rabbi, I often interact with people who ask me questions, and very often they're questions about purpose, and what is their purpose? What is life's purpose? And I ask them two questions. The first is, what do you want? I especially interact with a lot of young people, and especially when they first graduate, and I'm always like, calm down, it's okay. Life is still only happening 1 hour at a time. The first question I ask is, what do you want? And it's a question more people should ask, because we don't. At some point, we stop asking what it is that we want. But it's a good question. And it's a question I would like you to think about going forward. Not what other people say you should want, not what you think you should want, but have a real conversation with yourself. It is going to be hard, but you are in a position where it will be useful at some point, not today, this isn't homework, but have an honest conversation with yourself about what do I want? Because once you determine what you want, then you're going to be able to work toward it. The other beauty of knowing what you want is you don't have to fly there like an arrow. As long as what you want is there, you can meander all over the place, but you never lose yourself because you have an idea for what you want. There's nothing worse than just meandering through life, not accomplishing anything, because at the end, then you look back and you're like, I wasted everything. I never accomplished what I wanted. So I want you to remember that though you are dealing with a loss, your life is still a gift from God. And that there is much more for you to accomplish. You just have to figure out what that should look like. And that's number one. Number two is, what is the most important choice you will ever make? Now, some of you have already heard this. Be quiet. For those of you who haven't, what is the most important choice you'll ever make? And you'll give various answers. If you're with a believer, they're going to follow Jesus. And I go, well, that's a good choice. But it's simpler than that. The most important choice you will ever make is your next choice. You see, free choice, though it can be a curse, it is also a great lesson. Because you are never stuck. If a person has been a saint their entire life, only ever done the right thing, he's on the bench. Are any of your children ever going to let me have the floor?
No, not at all.
4 kids, they all did the same thing.
Yeah.
If a person has always been a saint, but their next choice is a horrendous act of murder, what do they become? A monster. Equally, if a person's been a reprobate their entire lives, and their next choice is the Baal Teshuvah, repent, turn 180 degrees from their sin, what do they become? A saint. All too often, we dwell on the failed choices of our past. We drag them behind us like they're chains. But remember that you are only ever one choice away from becoming the person you always wanted to be and wished to be. Every day, with every ongoing choice, you are remade into the person you choose to be. Your next choice is more important than the million choices that came before it. So you have hope. You're not stuck. Know what you want and recognize that you have the ability to choose to be that. It's one of the greatest gifts that Yahweh Elohim has ever given us. You are never stuck by the person you were, and you are always working toward becoming the person you could be and want to be. And the beauty of it is, if you do choose better, God says that He will put your sin as far away from you as east is to west. Meaning that you're facing east and walking that direction, your sins are facing west and you're walking away from them. Mahatma Gandhi once said that you must be the change that you wish to see in the world. And I like that a lot. If you don't think that there's enough love in the world, then tell those around you that you love them. If you don't like the cynicism and negativity strangling our society, then encourage and support those you interact with. If you're bitter about how your life is turning out, then change your focus and look for the peace and beauty all around you. I want you to know that God is on your side and you can do it. Ellen White said, "The world, though fallen, is not all sorrow and misery. In nature itself are messages of hope and comfort. There are flowers upon the thistles, and the thorns are covered with roses." In the end, if God asked you if your life had made the world a better place or a worse place, what would your answer be? I believe that Larry left this world a better place than he found it. I believe that because I saw in my own life that he made my little part of the world a better place than he found it. I was better for knowing him, and I feel my world diminished by his loss. There is no greater compliment that can be paid than for those that speak of your life to say that you made their life better, their world better. Then that pays dividends forward. Right now, somewhere, there is a person that is making a good decision because they were taught by Larry what a good decision looked like. And they're making a better bad decision because they probably learned that too when he was younger. Larry was a man who always seemed to take the changes of life in stride. I like that. I never saw him get upset. I never saw him get flustered. He probably did get upset and flustered, but not in front of me. Every once in a while, but that strength really matters. You know, as a man that tries to keep things in line myself, I could look to Larry and go, if Larry can do it, why can't I? He had a sense of justice and fairness that all of us continue to admire. Larry was a man that cared about the right thing, and I always believed that he was a man that would, to the best of his ability, do the right thing. And his love for friends and family would be greatly missed. I would like to open up the floor to anyone that would like to come up and talk about their interactions and their relationship. It doesn't have to be profound and life-changing. Just talking about your interactions, just your conversations, how you affected. It's going to help all of us to understand Larry in a way that we didn't before. Because remember that each of you are unique and different, and you each had a different relationship with a different Larry. So with that, I will open it up for anyone that would like to come up and talk.
Good afternoon, everyone. I bring you greetings from the Tampa Bay area. I know Miss Ellie and Larry probably don't know what they really truly meant to me. At a time in my life after graduating college, I was trying to learn to listen to the voice of the Lord. And I opened my first business. It was a coffee and jazz cafe called Relaxers Coffee, and everyone said it was an oxymoron. How can you relax and drink coffee? But we had leather sofas and a grand piano and soft jazz music playing, and people would come in and just relax. And every morning, Mr. Larry and Miss Ellie would come in. And they would sit and we would have some great conversations. He looked at my sign and said, you know, we do signs. And he gave me some great advice, and they both gave me great advice the whole time. And they meant so much because I didn't know what I was doing. This was my first business. To tell you how green I was, I started with 15 employees in a coffee shop. But they were there, and it was a unique place, and when the owners of Outback came in, I didn't know who they were, but they called me to the back and said, you know who that was? That was the owner of the Outback. They're probably looking to buy your place. And I tell that story all the time about how they encouraged me. So needless to say, we went out of business in about 10 months, but they were still there. Even on the last day when I told them, they were there. And it encouraged me. And it gave me hope that I wasn't a failure, I was learning. And I've opened several businesses since then, Miss Ellie. You two were very instrumental in giving me encouragement and feeling like I could do it and I could succeed. And I succeed with my wife. And I saw you two together and it just encouraged me. And I thank you for that. And we've never lost touch all these years. That was 2002. And I was surprised. And you've seen me grow on Facebook. You've seen my kids grow from little ones to grown. And you see me when I've answered my call to ministry. And you've always been there. And you've always commented. And you've always said some loving words, both you and Larry. And I truly thank you. And Larry was wonderful. You both were humble spirits. And I will never forget how you poured into me at a young age. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Edwin Smith. I first met Larry in about 1975 when I went to work with him at a small company in California. A little bit after that, I met Ellie also. She worked at the same company. And a little bit after that, we went into business together. For one of many failed ventures.
Well, we had fun.
Cameo,
There you go.
and we kind of moved around and did a few other things. Larry moved to Florida, and I moved out to Florida for a while. And all I can say about Larry is he made me a better man. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm late. But Larry wouldn't be, he would have not been surprised that I showed up late. And passed right by 3 times and followed my stupid navigator that didn't know where it was going. But I met Larry and Ellie several years ago when a friend of mine from my own church brought me to Oldsmar to their sign company. And I had a dream. I had a dream to do an emergency egress system in New York City, and it was a big dream. And Larry made part of that dream happen. And we went up there. I knew that mangled sign that was at the World Trade Center, and it was still working. And he got that notification in his monitoring system that day of 9/11. And he knew when it came back on. And I knew then when I met him and Ellie, this was the right person for me to develop an emergency egress system for the New York City Transit and the MTA. And he went with me to meetings with the Metro Transit Authority, with Lockheed Martin, with New Jersey Transit. He hated when I rented the car and I did the driving. He hated that. But he went. And he was just the voice of reason. And finally we got a test. We got one test in New York, and he kept saying, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. And the person in New York kept telling me it'll be $50,000 to move the kiosk, and I just said, for flag waivers, and I said, and Larry goes, don't do that. And we got a new software person, he got it. We did a system at Adelphi University. We did the Knox Center, he did it from his house. We did all the MTA information, the bus information. We also did, this was during the swine flu, and they had the swine flu just like COVID. They had vaccines, and then they didn't have vaccines. And we could notify the people at Adelphi University, don't go show up for the vaccine, or we got more in. And it was Larry that could always tell and always knew when we needed an update. It was so far before its time and so amazing. And we have been talking because we did a system with the Rays, and the Rays said, okay, we'll do it when we get a new stadium. This is 2012. Well, they still don't have a new stadium. So I don't know what they were waiting for, but we were there, and his system worked every time. And we got the first iPads, and we used those in our system, and he helped put that together. Larry was way above his time. And so he never, ever thought that we weren't going to get this done. And my daughter was working on a new way to do it last year, and talked to Larry many times and thought about doing an app. And here's the thing, I never thought that I would not be walking into meetings with him again. I never thought that Larry wouldn't be my side again, and Lally too. And they have just been the best support people, right? When it works out, or if it doesn't work out, they never gave up faith or hope. And I'm going to miss him so much. I know, Ellie, how much he loved you. I know because we traveled a lot together, and I heard it, and y'all talked all the time, and it would be just a great blessing to have a marriage like Ellie and Larry. And I will miss him, and I know you will miss him terribly. I'm sorry. Love you too.
Hi, everyone. Okay, my name is Janet Morton. I'm a dear friend. I say my dear friend. She's family. She's family. Larry was family. My husband met Larry while in his bumblebee suit at FedEx several years ago. And my husband is not here today because my husband is very, very sick. But I will tell you that the day he met Larry Covey, he became a changed person. My husband, Bill, is 6 foot. And he is very strong opinionated, very strong-willed. He drove a motorcycle for a lot of years until he had to give it up because of his heart attack. That nearly killed him. He has suffered additional heart attack. He has suffered medical atrocities. But I believe and I have faith that God put us together, my husband and I. And I say this because my husband's not a believer, and I am a believer. Larry started talking to my husband at work, started talking to my husband about what you need to do in order to maintain a relationship, maintain a marriage, maintain that strong bond. Be kind. Be willing to give. Don't be so, where you want to pull people apart. You want to give. You want to rejoice. You want to show love. And I have Larry to thank for that. I truly do. Because if he hadn't talked to Bill, if he hadn't planted that seed in his brain and God let it grow, my husband would not be the person he is today. He is no longer that rough, very irritable human being. He is a very more kinder, nicer, gentler person because of Larry. Their relationship changed our marriage. Ellie and Larry are family. I was very, very upset to learn that Larry passed the day he passed, and I was able to be with his bride and spend most of that day with her. And I will tell you that you can lose a loved one. You can say, oh, days and weeks and stuff will pass. Rabbi, I understand. Trust me. You never lose that loved one. They always stay in your heart. You have memories. You have those memories. Cherish them. Be kind to one another. Take this as a sign. God did not want you to be alone. Work on those marriages. Be kinder, gentler. Stay connected. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Hi, Ellie. Hey. Good. Good. It was great to see you. Just know that. Sorry we were late. Things happen. Yeah. Yeah. My name is Robert Tomic. I've known Larry for about 8 years now. I was one of those bumblebee workers. And I know Bill as well. I wish I worked with Bill a little bit longer. While going back. The words from Larry, he's an amazing man. A very fatherly figure. Generous man. That has strength. And how he had a calmness about himself. That he definitely had no doubts because he rarely ever came off as shy. He had his definites that he knew. And he definitely loved me. There's no doubt.
How many years have you known him?
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2016. So, we've had many conversations over the years. I moved away from Florida for about 4 years. We came back last year. This is my wife, Lorraine. Sorry, I didn't get it right. Not actually. But even over the years, we and I would always be talking to each other. I just want to to give for you and bring
You guys
you.
have it. I want to thank you so much for all your kindness.
So the first time that I met Larry and Ellie was at a wedding, but I'd heard about him so many times from Bob. And, you know, our families are not always as supportive as we would like. And so when I saw you and Larry come and stand for Rob, that's both of us. I didn't know Larry as long as most of you here, and I think the tears that I'm crying today is because, one, as I'm hearing all of your accounts of him, I'm realizing that he was every single thing that he represented himself today. I come from a background where men they show their strength in really negative ways. But Larry was always, I just could feel his strength. He was so gentle. He had strength and gentleness. And
It's okay.
when we came back and we realized we were going to land here in Ocala again, you know, I told Rob one of the things I was looking forward to is taking you and Larry up on your offer to spend time with y'all and get to know you better. And I feel like I missed out on someone who's just so incredibly special. And when I hear how he's touched so many people, it makes me understand your loss even more. And we're here now. And please feel free to call. And you don't have to call, we'll be coming. I know where you live. But I thank you all for giving us this moment. Thank you so much.
Wait, what? I said, I think I'll find that song if everybody will bear with me.
We're here for you.
Okay.
But it gets right down to it.
I'm just gonna find it on the cell phone first. Okay, up there. It's gonna be you singing, Boy, you might have run out of the building here, you know. Good news.
Just belt it out, Ellie.
Now, let's see. I hate cell phones, you guys. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble. Okay, so you got the right one. All right, you guys. This is going to be kind of a sing-along with me, okay? Larry wanted this to be a fun celebration. Everybody enjoy themselves and have some laughing. So I'm going to try and inject a little bit of humor in here. I think you all know this song. He didn't think of himself this way, but he got such a kick out of listening to the song. So here we go. Mac Davis. This is their turn up.
Back a few months ago, I was headlining pretty big night club, and he put me up a couple of days early. I came in a couple of days early, and they put me up for what they call the Star Suite. Now here I am, headliner in one of the biggest nightclubs in the country, and I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning in this Star Suite, all by myself. That's what I said, oh. But I did what I've always done, man. Cheered myself up and picked up my guitar and sat down, wrote me a little song. Now this is how it feels to be a hit one on the top of the hill. I'm trying to figure out why. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble. When perfect in every way. I can't wait to look in the mirror. I'll get there looking each day. I'm gonna change one of the words. Is to love me. Must be a heck of a man. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble, but I'm doing the best that I can.
That's it. It's gonna quit. Thank you,
Thank you.
That's gonna hurt anything beyond what the first thing is. I always say that if I weren't me, I'd want to be me, or at least be friends with me, because I'm a happy guy.
Is there anyone else who would like to share anything today? Just want to make sure we don't miss anything.
And we're not on a schedule, so you're not holding anybody up, so if you want to come up and talk, do it.
Hello, my name is Charlene. My husband and I met Ellie and Larry probably about 4 years ago. And they're both just such a blessing. My husband Terry and Larry grew up in the same hometown, which was very shocking because it's very small. There's a gas station and a stoplight, and that's about it. And my husband planned on coming today, but he gets anxiety really bad from things like these. But he enjoyed all of the time that he was able to share with Larry. They had a lot of the same interests, and we were able to say our goodbyes and ensure to Larry that we had Ellie and we would take care of her. And hope you all have a blessed day, and sorry for everybody's loss, and I love you, Mom.
I love you too, Mom.
She's watching. Like, what's Auntie Sarah doing now? Is there anyone else?
So happy I was staying for this. You know, I just felt that we need to be where I don't want to get in the bush, but I've recently had a little space out. And I feel like a call to be there. And be part of this.
Abe is a perfect example of a gentleman who's never met a stranger. And we met, unfortunately, the circumstances were unfortunate. And yet, I can't help but be just a little glad because with Nina's loss, we got to meet you. And so he'll have some perspective on losing his partner. And he's wonderful as long as you can get past the hearing aid.
The fact that you're having two separate conversations.
He's just picking on you. It's all right. All right. I really appreciate, I really appreciate everyone who spoke today. It was really nice to, as Rabbi mentioned, your perspectives, your relationships that we've had with Larry. And even if
Because he was always on his best behavior with me, and I always knew that there was more to it. I was like, what's Larry look like when he's not trying to get in there?
we're not going to have that problem with you if you go before me. We're all going to be like, yeah.
I'm just going to throw myself on the mercy of the court.
My baby. All right. We'll go ahead and do the Kaddish. Now, the Kaddish is actually not Hebrew, it's Aramaic. And so many of the prayers that revolve around mourning and loss are about our feelings, our loss, our bereavement. And this prayer is nothing like that. This prayer is a reminder to us that things happen in God's timeline, that He is in charge. And I don't think there's any better time to be reminded that He has us well in hand than when we've lost a loved one, especially a spouse. Now is the time when we can be strengthened, knowing that God does have us well in hand, and that He is not oblivious to your pain, that He's in charge. He's got you, and He is knowledgeable of everything. He knows all the corners of your heart, so He knows all those things that you're trying to hide, the anger, the resentment, and a reminder, my dear, God's shoulders are big enough for all of it. So remember to take that to Him. Don't hide, try not to hide that from your Heavenly Father.
Magnified and sanctified be his great name in the world which he has created according to his will. May he establish his kingdom during your life and during your days, and during the life of the whole house of Israel, even swiftly and soon, and say Amen. Let his great name be blessed forever unto all eternity. Blessed, praised, and glorified, exalted, extolled, and honored, magnified, and lauded be the name of the Holy One. Blessed is he, though he be high above all the blessings and songs, praises, and consolations which are uttered in the world. And say Amen. May he who makes peace in his high places make peace upon us and upon all Israel. And say Amen. We will now close with the Birkat Kohanim, the Aaronic benediction. If you please stand. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. You'll give us just a couple of moments. We'll make sure the food's all set up, and then you can nosh to your heart's content.
I flew here. Oh, you flew? To Tampa. And I was there. You were very brave. Because I thought about flying my son. And, I could, the last time they flew down to see me, they could drive in 13 hours. It took 14 hours to come home. Because their flight was delayed. They were held on the tarmac for 45 minutes. And it was, and then when they got there in the car, they went to the and it was like a miracle. And I said, I'm too old for that. My grandson was right between the door. And I blessed you all.